Okay, well, it's 7:01. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Old Saybrook Board of Education to order. We will start by the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will start with correspondence here.
Oh, we have great correspondence. First of all, there is the new Rambler is out, so that's gonna come around to everybody. There's also the Bonnie B. Carney Award for Excellence for Educational Communications. We've got honorable mention, but Trent said we also have.
We also won.
We beat ourselves.
The category in which we got honorable mention, we also won. So we took first and second place on the podium in this particular category.
So that's great. So,
First place plaque will come until the spring.
okay, lots of plaques coming our way.
Yes.
So yeah, so this is great honor. So that's on the board going around. The really big news is, our middle school, Dr. Bachman, the New England League of Middle Schools once again, awarded the Old Saybrook Middle School Spotlight School designation, which is renewed for the next 3 years. And, Nels would like to commend the Old Saybrook Middle School on the following criteria: common planning time, supporting middle level best practices and instructional autonomy provided for teachers by administration, empowering effective teaching, leads to increased student learning. A major strength of the school is the administrative distribution of leadership, and that the school shares and lives a common vision. Administration, teachers, and support staff are committed to supporting all students. The school advisory program is robust and well planned. The 8th grade Saybrook Studies is an exemplary program that partners the school students with the community and its businesses. Common planning time, supporting middle level best practices and instructional autonomy provided by teachers by administration equates to empowered and effective teaching. Again, that leads to increased student learning and a thorough planned out advisory program and well-documented student support team, which emphasizes tier 2 supports and communication. A huge, I'm very proud. You should be very proud. So this is also going around on the end. So there's actually a letter for each, you can each take a copy and read them. Along with the Rambler, that's all the program.
It was quite a process that they had to organize, and the visitors that came and interviewed students, staff, they interviewed me, and it was really great to be a part of it, to be able to speak extemporaneously about the great things that are going on in the middle school.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Next is our reports from our Board of Education representatives.
All right, so I'm gonna be starting with clubs. So the health clubs, as they have been throughout the basketball season, have been raising money at most of the basketball games. And this has been going very well. They've been able to raise a lot of money. NHS is working on their February service project, so they do a community service project each month. And this month they're collecting donations of hygiene products. So in the morning, students are standing in the front of the school and collecting hygiene products in a bin that students are able to donate. Student government is working on a movie night for the end of March. And this is because students feel like the only activity we have in the winter is basketball games, which are very fun, but it can get repetitive, and it's nice to have something else to look forward to and something else to attend. And then Ecology Club cleaned out the greenhouse. They had a few students who worked on that project, and then they're also going to be removing invasive species on March 23rd. And then DECA just took their multiple choice quiz to qualify to go onto the next level of their competition. And then Rambler just finished their February edition, and they are a pretty good way through their March edition. So for academics, the biggest thing going on at our school right now is that there's a new system to sign out of Flex and to sign up to go to different areas for Flex. So flex, which is the free period in the middle of the day, can be a little bit unorganized sometimes, with students going all over the place and going to all these different teachers and having sort of crazy schedules. So this app, is a more organized way for students to sign up to go see a certain teacher. For example, if you want to go see your chemistry teacher, you would just select like on your app that you're going there. And this also allows teachers to have a limited amount of students in each room, so it doesn't get too overwhelming. And then people are still adjusting to it, especially students and teachers alike, but it's going pretty well. And then for extracurriculars, some of the actors in the spring musical went to Goodwin, and performed a few scenes from The Little Mermaid, and all of the kids, especially the little kids, like the kindergartners, really loved this. It was really nice. And then the musical is March 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then theater art and jazz night was on the 22nd at 7:30. And there were a lot of performances, which included select band groups and some scenes from the musical. And then there was also a band concert on February 15th. And then the middle school play is Frozen, and this is going to be on March 21st and 22nd, which is a Thursday and Friday. And then some of the high school drama club members are actually going down to the middle school to help them out and sort of help mentor them with their musical, which is really nice because it can help connect and bring middle schoolers into the high school drama program. It's just really good connections for all of the students. And then for sports, we're finally transitioning into spring sports. It feels really soon to be doing that already, but a lot of teams have started meeting already. Outdoor track had a meeting on February 23rd. But then for the winter sports, which are still going on, girls basketball had their senior night on February 15th. They qualified for Shorelines, but they did unfortunately lose their first round to HK. But tonight they qualified for states and they're playing Perryville, which started at 6:30. And then if they win this game, they will advance to play Lyman Memorial, which will be on Thursday. And then for boys basketball, they had a difficult season, but they were able to sort of turn it around towards the end, which was nice. They won their senior night and they won their last game of the season, which was against Westbrook. And that's it.
Thank you. Board members, any questions for Steve?
What's the app that you're using? It's a new app for you guys? Do you know what the name of it is? Or maybe
Yes.
administration can answer?
Sure, sorry, the mute was on. So it's through securely.com. And we've been working with them on the flex management system as well as investigating an electronic hall pass system. And it's widely used around the shoreline, and we did some research on it. We've had trainings for staff. We had a mini training for students as well after we investigated it, and it has a lot of potential to enhance student, just in terms of their ability to create appointments. And it's kind of like office hours. Teachers can create activities and they can cap it at, say, 10 students. The most beautiful part about it, though, is we're able to take attendance. We haven't been able to do that through PowerSchool with the Flex. So it raises the accountability, and it should tighten things up as far as organization and knowing where every student is from a safety standpoint. So we're very excited about its potential.
Amy?
I'm just gonna say, just trying to look at your great report, and just curious on that flex time, like, do you have to do it ahead of time, or can you do it, I don't know when the structure, do you do it like the morning of, or do you have to do it ahead of time, or?
Personally, when I've used it, I just sign up the morning of. It's pretty flexible, so as long as your teacher gives you permission, you're able to sign up the morning of, or at least in my experience, I've been able to.
Super. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you. Great report. Moving on, audience of citizens. Try to get everybody online, see if any do not. Okay. We'll move on. We have a consent agenda, looking for a motion.
So moved.
And second by Karen. Any questions, discussion on the consent agenda? Call for a vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda? All those opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Thank you. Okay, our first item for education issues is our Education Foundation presentation this evening. We have Sally Ann Lee here this evening.
And if I could just do a brief introduction, I've been involved as much as I can be with Ed Foundation since I got here, and they are a bit of unsung heroes as far as I'm concerned. So I asked Sally if she would come tonight to speak to the board so that you can be aware of the significant amount of work and fundraising that they do very quietly behind the scenes. And the money goes back to our students either through programming or through field trips or through scholarships. And Sally has been leading this group for a number of years now. I think we were in COVID together, doing everything online. And so thank you very much for being here and for sharing the Old Saybrook Ed Foundation story with our board.
Well, thank you, Superintendent Furgio, for having me. I know many of you, so nice to see you. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sally Ann Lee. I am an Old Saybrook resident, product of the high school and the whole, graduating in 91. Raised our two kids here. I have a junior currently at the high school, and then I have a freshman who is down at the University of Tampa. So I'm thrilled to be here just to share, a little bit about the Ed Foundation and just give you a little bit of information about who we are, what we do. So when you see us out in the community, I say, well, we're really focused right now this year, especially on advocacy. A lot of people really don't know who we are unless you're in the schools as a parent. And sometimes we are thought of as the Old Saybrook Education Association, which is not.
Different group.
So who we are, we are a board that is entirely volunteer based. We are made up of parents, business leaders in the community. And really we just strive to do what we can to better our Old Saybrook public school system. This currently is our board of directors. So as you can see, we have a wide range of people. We also have brought on this year 2 student representatives. So we have a representative from the middle school, which is Alex Oliver, and then from the high school, Aiden Diana. So they've been great. You can see Alex over there in the bottom. She is a rock star. When we did our recent holiday raffle, she sold the most tickets by which was great to have her. So thank you. So this is what we do. This is our mission statement. We help provide students and staff with opportunities beyond what the school district can provide and the PTO. We know how important the PTOs are to each school, but we are for the entire district. So if a teacher wants to, pre-K teacher to a high school teacher wants to go to a conference or something that might not be met through the budget, they can write us a grant and we can help fund that. We also provide scholarships to graduating seniors, which we'll get to, and then we also do programs throughout each of the schools. We raise money every year quietly. Every year we have an annual membership drive that goes out to the school packets that the schools send out at the beginning of the year. We have a holiday giving program, and that is designed to recognize students, staff, or teachers within the district instead of making a gift, if you will. So that's a pretty popular avenue. Scholarship gifts, we do have several families who have made larger monetary donations that specifically want to have a scholarship for the graduating seniors. So we have a couple family foundations as well as a couple private families who make a donation every year, and they are in charge of their criteria and selecting the winner for that. Special events, we do all sorts of things from the holiday calendar raffle. This year, we're going to have a mini golf tournament on June 1st. We're also having Hartford Athletic Night. So we're partnering with Hartford Athletic on April 20th. And a portion of any the tickets sold for that come back to the wholesale. I believe it's $4 each ticket. So, community grants. They're typically small. They're usually around $250 to maybe $750, but they're usually things that we apply to, like the Essex Savings Bank. has a community investment program. We applied for that scholarship. Town Fair Tire always supports us every year when we write a grant. So there is grant writing as well. And here's a couple examples of some of the grants we've done at the different schools. The top line are our most recent ones. Obviously, during COVID, we really didn't do a lot. The last one we did at Goodwin was, I believe it was 2 years ago, and we brought in Power Sports in to do a whole leadership program with fourth graders at the time. Mark Carroll requested the Safer Studies program, which was a huge hit. That was 2 years ago. And then we've also supported last year students on the Washington DC trip that wouldn't have been able to go unless we were able to provide some form of support. So we were happy to do that. And then we've done Science Day, Fine Arts Day. This picture in the middle is Jeff Krill. He's a survivorship speaker that went to the middle school through Courtney Goodale's class. And then we've done several leadership conferences in the Honduras trip when it happened. So we try to support as much as we can. And we also do scholarships. We do about 31 scholarships each year. This is my daughter. I didn't have any pictures of anybody or permission from them to use their photo. So that is my daughter last year with a different owner. But what we do, really enjoy supporting our seniors that are graduating, and some of our scholarships that are done through the Head Foundation are for those students who might not get a scholarship necessarily. You know, they may not be top of the class, or, you know, some might be going into trade schools, some might just really have the grit and determination and should be recognized. So we're really, really proud of those scholarships. And how you can help. Obviously, if you're so entitled, you know, please feel free to make a gift to the Ed Foundation. We are a nonprofit, so your donation is tax deductible. Just come to our Ed Foundation events, you know, stop by, say hello, share how important we are to the community, and introduce us to possible donors, or even potential board members. We're always looking for new board members to step up and join the board. Many hands, as you all know, make light work, and the work that we do, we feel is really, really important to the school district. So if you know anybody, send them my way. And you know, if any of you are interested in joining the board, we'd love to have a conversation. And last slide, I believe, is how you can connect with us. You can reach me at any time. You can email us. We're on the web, our Facebook page and our Instagram page. I will tell you, we are updating our Instagram page to make it a business account. Right now it's under our personal account. So we want as many users on the board to be able to access that and post when they're out doing the work that we do. Any questions? I know I like quick elevator speech, and I know you all have a lot on your agenda too.
Not so much a question, but really thank you for doing everything you've done, because how long is the Education Foundation has been in Old Saybrook for?
It's been almost 27 years.
Yeah, about, yeah.
So, and we've been able to give out about $650,000 in support.
And that's huge, and I think this board and schools are always looking for supporting all students so that they can afford to attend. And so thanks for all you do.
Thank you for all your support of us as well.
Hi, thank you for the presentation on the scholarships. I know
Yeah.
you do a lot of scholarships. How much did you give out last year? Oh,
It was $14,500, and no award was less than $500.
I just want to, I knew it was a lot. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, great question.
Like you said, unsung heroes, you deserve a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Ally.
Thank you, Trent.
You're very welcome.
Okay. So, food services fund transfer.
If I'm gonna ask, Pamela Storty to talk about this. This is something that, we gave a heads up about at a previous board meeting.
Okay, so in the fiscal year 24 budget, there was $50,000 in a line item with the anticipation that if food services continue to run as it had last year, that there weren't gonna be sufficient funds for it to sustain itself. So based on the numbers as of February 9th, the cash balance for the food service account was at about $32,000. And roughly, rough numbers, expenses continue to outpace the revenue by approximately $1,000 a day. So, with that, it doesn't take too much to understand that our current cash balance would be expended by March 22nd. Now, we do have accounts receivable that the state, reimburses us and the federal government reimburses us. It's about a month and a half to 2 months behind. So at the point when we would expend the cash balance, yes, we'll have some more money, but it's not enough to keep up. And based on the projections, we would like to have that transfer made, so the funds are in the account, so payroll can be covered for the upcoming months. And by the end of June, we expect that month at a time, it's going to whittle through that $50,000, where even though there'll be accounts receivable, it's not enough to replenish what's being spent between the food costs, labor costs, and just the number of meals being served isn't what it had been years ago, pre-COVID. It just hasn't bounced back. And without having additional funds and only having additional reimbursements, what they call the SMART funds for this year, or just free and reduced meals, we're not getting anything extra for paid meals, and that's really where we're kind of finding the gap. So our request is at this time, if you can, normally we don't have the board make a vote for us to spend money that's been approved in the budget. This is a difference because it's the first time ever that we have had Board of Ed funds earmarked specifically to be transferred into the food services Essex Savings Bank account. So we just want to go through the process, at least for this year, that you knowledgeably know that we're doing this, that we're transferring the funds to support the program so we can continue providing meals to students who need it. And we will still keep you updated on balances as we move through the year, and that would continue next year as well. We do have a line item next year. Julie had put in for $75,000. Because we're gonna be starting the year off already tight. So we expect that those funds, unless something changes, I know there's legislation being discussed about
Yeah. And the governor's budget,
potentially talking
free
about.
breakfast would continue and the reduced lunch prices would continue at free.
Yeah, so the model appears to be at this point proposed the same as this year, which we already see is not gonna self-sustain us. So that is our request at this time.
And I just a little context and history as a reminder for those of you who are here, for those of you who are new to the board. We were heading in this direction prior to COVID. COVID actually saved us because so much federal money came into the food program. We fed during the summer, we fed during the year, we sent food home. And so it kept us afloat longer than we anticipated. So this is not an uncommon problem that these small individual food service programs are struggling. I think ours was exacerbated by the fact that prior to my getting here and then in my first few years, we were doing a lot of private catering. Some of that catering dried up for a number of reasons, one of which is being totally transparent. I learned that we had a DRAM policy and we're serving alcohol at those events. Didn't involve kids, wasn't on school ground. But I thought that the optics, and I told the board chair at the time about it, that the optics of a school district having such a thing that was not good. And obviously, when there are parties, there's a need for people to have a DRAM policy, shall we say. So, that didn't help either, but it's been a long time coming. I'm concerned about the trend, and it's something that I think this board and the new superintendent are going to have to look at.
If I remember correctly, last year it was approached to us to increase the cost of the food. And this board voted it down. And so now we're at this $50,000 shortfall this year. And now we're already looking at a $75,000 shortfall for next year. Are we looking at the cost of these meals and are we gonna address it, or are we just gonna keep supplementing, having the taxpayer supplement these meals?
If I may, the price discussion comes up in another couple months. The state has a tool that they want us to use called paid lunch equity that, they require us to go through that kind of tells us, do we have to increase where we should be? I projected using last year's tool. They don't have this year's, they call it a tool. They don't have this year's updated yet. It definitely shows that we won't have a choice. We will have to increase. The plan, the program itself is going to require us to increase it. I can share with you, I've run the numbers. And if you doubled the prices, it wouldn't be enough to make the program self-sustaining. So we will need to increase prices. What that looks like and what you decide to do. The tool gives us a minimum that we have to increase it. But I would not expect you to increase the prices to the level that would create it to be self-sustaining. So
I think these will be sharp enough that we could lose students purchasing.
That's
Because we're gonna have a jump, yeah, but we're gonna have a jump because we didn't increase last year. We're gonna have a bigger jump.
right, so it will require both pieces.
How many non-subsidized meals are we selling each day? What I heard you say is we have $1,000 shortfall each day. So there's a percentage of meals that are free and reduced, and then those are subsidized by the state. There's some
Right.
percentage that we
And
get back.
we do get some money back on paid meals, very minimal.
Very little, right? So how many paid meals are sold daily?
I can get back to you with that. I
Yeah.
do this
Right, 'cause
spreadsheet
that's
with it.
Spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, I have every confidence that you have that information, right? 'Cause that's,
But not at my fingertips, but I can get that.
because I mean, I think that's part of what we need to consider as we move forward is how many unsubsidized meals or paid meals are being sold and we get money, we get a larger percentage back on the free and reduced.
Right,
But, you know, I think we need to think about not only pricing, et cetera, but what other options are there for us? And a lot of this is, I think I'd mentioned at a previous meeting, a lot of this is driven because we vote in the federal government dietary guidelines.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so I think that we do need to consider what, what are our options going forward? And then my other question is, and I know that you always look at this, staffing, because it surprised me. I thought when we talk about the food plan, that we're just talking about the purchase of food, but I didn't realize it involves payroll as well.
yeah,
Yes. So, have we looked at staffing in support of how many meals we're selling and does
we
it?
have over the past couple of years, as utilization has decreased,
Mhm.
we have decreased
Okay,
staff.
yeah.
Right now, Goodwin has a manager and a manager for, I think, maybe 7 hours a day. And then the server is maybe 5 or 6 hours,
Okay.
enough to help prep.
Yeah.
And somebody has to ring and somebody has to serve.
Right, right.
So that's pretty much running as lean as that school can. And middle school, I think, is close to that. So they have definitely adjusted staffing
Yeah.
along the way, but
But staffing is also costing us more,
Right,
like it is everywhere.
right,
Yeah.
right, we've had to increase to try and keep staff.
Mhm.
You know, and the federal program also has requirements for certain levels of our staff.
Mhm.
There are minimums of education and training that are required, you know, so it makes it tough. It's a difficult balance.
Yeah.
Food service in any industry, public school or otherwise, is tough.
Thanks.
So, yeah, do you need us, what I'm supposed to do?
Yes. It was recommended. I did speak with the auditors and for the first time of us doing this, it's not required. technically, because it was part of the approved budget. But she said it would be a good practice, particularly for the first time, to have it official and through the board, that it's time to transfer those funds That is appropriate.
So we're gonna make $50,000.
into the food service Essex savings account.
To move the 50,000 to the Essex savings for all the reasons that Pam just mentioned.
I have a second on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Those opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
What's that, is that the heat?
That's the heat, yeah.
I have a note.
I was like, what is that background
I
noise?
have a note on my calendar for tomorrow
Really?
morning to
Yeah.
put the call in. It's happened before, we've had it fixed, it's come back again.
Thanks, I was
Like
saying
the
that.
ghost of Christmas past, it just won't leave us.
And you know I'm numb because I said what noise.
I was like, background noise.
We had interviews today, it was kind of obvious.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the 2024-25 academic calendar.
So every year, Mrs. Pelton was the one who would coordinate this group, and Pam stepped in at the very end, but fortunately, board member Julius was also involved, right? You were the one representative in creating this calendar. And this has gone through, again, I like to give context, this has gone through a number of different iterations over the years. For a while, it was sort of the wild, wild west, and all the districts did something different. Then the state required us to have a common calendar, which in my opinion, in many ways made a lot of sense because it allowed us to do regional professional development and also helped when our staff, when they have children in other schools, they'd be off the same weeks. Well, they got rid of that. And so now we are trying very hard to use the learning calendar for our region as the template. But we also kind of end up going off on our own and adjusting based on what staff, board, parents, students see as being important to our district. So I don't know, Karina or Pam, if you'd like to say more about what's being presented here.
Just that it definitely, there was a lot of consideration, a lot of back and forth, a lot of trying to work within all the,
Yeah.
professional development days and days before holidays, days before recesses, meetings, snowflake days. So there was a lot of good discussion and thought and consideration given, I think, to the calendar and, recognition that we can't meet every need or desire, but I think this does meet. It does.
As best as you
As
can.
best as you can, yeah, so. So was this the first year, I don't pay as much attention on having kids in the school, that we have Diwali and the Ramadan. Is that the first year that we're noting them on the calendar?
I think this is the first year for Diwali. Each year, new holidays are added.
Which is great to acknowledge, and that's all fine. So my question is, because I know, I know for the Jewish holidays, we're mindful of not scheduling exams and things like that. So I looked them up, and I know the Ramadan is, there's a lot of fasting involved with that one. The
Yeah.
Losar is the Tibetan one, so.
This can be a lot. This is true, and I think that the discussion around what all should be listed here, we touched on it very lightly. I think that perhaps there should be a longer discussion about how should this be used? Or should there be a different list that addresses all the holidays and certain considerations? Because you can't, like, Kwanzaa is not on here.
I'm sorry.
Kwanzaa is not on here, and should it be, right? So it is, I think it's an attempt to be mindful and reflective of some holidays that will be affecting students in the district, but yes, at what point?
Well, so my question is for administration, how to you know, how to be mindful and, supportive and respectful of the culture and, you know, just as we are with the Jewish faith and respecting, you know, exams and things like that. That's all I'm asking. It's just being mindful of that.
So
It's just
I can start that and then other administrators can jump in. I think that this team of people tried to be as inclusive as possible this year in particular of all the holidays. It is not great for formatting, right?
Yeah.
That's what- So what we are recommending that we do moving forward, and we think we can even start this year, is accompanying this calendar is just a list of all of the holidays. And maybe what you might want to do in the future is just put days off, blah, 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 here on the right side, and then explain why they're off or what kind of a holiday they are. On an added sheet, which on the website would just scroll up, and so that we are inclusive of all. As far as sensitivity to situations, I can tell you that, you know, I was in a anecdotally, our building principals do remind staff of these holidays. We do remind them that Ramadan means fasting, and you know, that might mean that not the best night for a concert, or, you know, might be tough for a basketball game. And they remind themselves, they're pretty good at reminding themselves about that and being sensitive about it. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that.
We have discussions as they come up, just to make sure everybody's aware and paying attention to what kids do.
And as far as religious holidays go, of course, both students and staff celebrating a holiday can take that day off without anything deducted from their attendance.
I'm going to say congratulations to the calendar committee for giving staff the day before Thanksgiving off. Because that has been in that calendar for a long time, and I used to think, geez, people need to set up when they need to travel. So I appreciate it that they've considered staff in terms of what they need to do, so they have.
We did that.
I'm just saying that it's here though,
Yeah.
and it just says though that, other notes, but if it was in there, it wouldn't, I'm just saying it's highlighted, other notes say that the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is full day off. But, so if that's new, if it's not, then it would be existing, but anyway, I'm glad that it's moving forward, it needs to happen.
Has there been any consideration to re-implementing a full week in February?
Yeah, I saw that on social media recently. That's the only reconsideration I've seen. As someone that said, do you think we should have a full day, a full week in Old Saybrook? No one has brought that up recently, but certainly it could be discussed by the calendar committee next year.
I think like one of the challenges, two of the major challenges that the calendar committee faced was not starting too early in August because of the need for 3 professional development days, and like they would have had to start like August 21st or 2nd. And that was not optimal,
Teachers.
right? So then that pushes the end of the year later. And so we're already into mid-June. And so by adding, so each year, depending on when days fall, you have some additional flexibility, and it doesn't go into July when you're getting out of school. But, and then on the other end, we have Juneteenth, which is a holiday. So you don't want to have school go too far that direction, right? So I think the calendar committee so far has appreciated not having to work that because it is a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Days, making all the days work.
And Rita, what added to your challenge this year is look at that December holiday. It starts on the 21st. It's a long,
Yes.
long holiday.
Yes.
So that took additional days out of your
Right.
schedule. There was a
Yeah.
lot of concern about coming back too early in August. And yes, that Juneteenth, once we hit that holiday, we're gonna have a whole set of personnel concerns that we're gonna have to deal with.
So,
And we're not ready yet. The way we've got to negotiate with contracts.
I was gonna say that I think a lot of the schools, what used to be a full week, many years ago, have shortened, even Westbrook and other schools have given that Monday, but also that Tuesday.
It's a cyclical thing. It seems to go back and forth over a number of decades. I know when I first was in the profession, we always had the full week
That's
off, and then they
exactly
said this is a ridiculous waste, and they went back to only a few days, and it's gone back and forth throughout my career.
Yeah, I see it, but
Yeah, so my,
thoughts on that in terms of, it seems like in recent years that I remember, we've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and we often lose Wednesday. You know, you know,
To the
it's
snowflake
the
day.
first one to go, right, for Snowflake Day, I think, typically. And we see that coming off, and so when you, especially in a year where we might have a lot of snow days, and then to also have a week off.
Yeah.
It can just be, kids are out of school for a long time. Yeah, so I feel like having the 3 days gives people, those families that want to go skiing or whatever during that time, you've got time, and then if it comes off with a snow day, that's kind of a wash because you've had a day off with your family probably, and then. So I think that the way the Snowflake Day works is a pretty ideal situation for our school system compared to other districts.
Yeah, I want to thank the calendar committee for all the work that we I know the calendar, it's hard to have a perfect calendar.
Such thing.
And there's every year's different, but I think this is a good calendar based on the struggle issues we had with it. So, I just wanted to say that.
Just a quick question for, I appreciate everything that goes into this too, because I know that it's like moving multiple pieces, right, to make the puzzle work. We've had now a number of years where we've used the multiple half days for professional development. Do we have any feedback on that, on like the programming, the availability for, I know that we seek to work with like youth and family services and a number of different things to like have options, but have we received any feedback on that in the calendar committee or?
Well, what I recall is they were very desirous of having the 3 days before the school year started, because that was a big discussion. Should it be 2 days and, supplement somewhere else?
Yeah.
So the 3 at the start of the year was a very positive, thing. I know that there are some, do you have the insight into?
Yeah, typically with the 3 days, those are the days when we're either launching our district goals and our building level goals. It provides teachers our opportunity to be in their classroom and set things up and get ready for the year. So it is a positive time of the year, especially with convocation being our big welcome back and setting that stage.
And then the half days both from the staff and then I guess families as well in terms of the feedback that have we gotten?
We didn't talk a lot about the half days. I don't know if anybody else has any insight to.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if they're if they're useful or not. I know I've heard grumbling sometimes from parents and myself included, it's like another half day. Because it requires rescheduling calendars and, I don't know. So I'd be curious to make sure it's worthwhile.
Right, that's a curriculum question, really more so than a calendar question.
And I could just say that honestly, I think people would prefer to have more full day PDs. We just can't afford that because then that would also extend our 180 calendar and we'd have to pay additional days to staff. So it becomes, competing interests. But having a half day PD in the second half of the day isn't ideal. You're not at your freshest, but it's our way of getting our days in and not extending the calendar. Maria, sorry, your system.
No, and to add on to that, it's our opportunity to kind of tackle some of the curricular goals and also going back to the same building goals that we launched at the start of the year. It gives us time for that ongoing touch point. So that becomes a major point that we always come back to throughout the year on those half days.
Just a quick question, and maybe Queen knows the answer or somebody. So when they do have half days, do they have childcare? For students, because sometimes that helps to, ameliorate some of the, the issues where you have to go to work or where students just had.
You mean at the elementary school, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
students that are?
Sure. So instead of having, it's just a question. I don't even know if it exists, but it is a question.
After school care.
Why? Yeah.
The why, I just didn't know, but it would probably help to, make it easier for families that I didn't know.
I don't recall if it's specifically for those days or not. I know youth and family sometimes has some stuff that they offer.
Yeah, they try to time it.
But I don't know.
But anyway, it's just
Heston, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, go right ahead.
After school care on half days, I know we have been able to achieve that in some years. I don't know if we're still able to achieve that.
students who are signed up for the YMCA, obviously they still go to the YMCA. But currently, we do not have anything in place for all students or something that's optional that we can have students at school.
And
in
but
years
available
ago,
to them.
I'm sorry,
Y is available to them early if they've signed up for YMCA.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I remember years ago, we would hire paras and
Mhm.
it was like running another business. It really was. And expensive too.
That's a good question. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I am looking for a motion to approve the calendar as
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second by Kelly, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? So moved, thank you. Second that motion. Kelly, thank you. And next item is their 2024 graduation date.
Yes. It's time. It's that time of year to set, it's actually past that time of year. We can set our graduation date. And so, yes, we may still have snow days and we still have one snowflake day left. We may still have snow days. But once your graduation date is set, you can still have your graduation ceremony on that date. Graduates are expected to come back to school for the follow-up days. But you can have the graduation date. So we're asking that the board set the graduation date for Thursday, January 13th, 2024. June, what did I say, January? It's on the home. June 13th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would just like to say that I think the last 2 years that we've done this, the very next day we've had a snowstorm.
I thought that was a big windstorm.
I know, that's exactly right.
Getting my Eversource messages.
Me too, yeah.
No further discussion, all those in favor of the graduation date?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? So moved.
Can I just ask a quick question? Jen, it used to be the first meeting in April. When did that change?
Changed,
I mean, this is
don't
great.
quote me, I wanna say 3 years ago.
I know, it's great that we're doing it earlier.
Yeah, that was changed at the legislative level. Yeah.
So the next item on our agenda is the non-certified, non-union contracts.
And we have no non-certified, non-union contracts to discuss this year. I don't know how it happened. I swear I didn't plan it. But every spring, we have those, what we call the one-offs. They're not associated with collective bargaining group, and we tend to bring those to you. We did, though, put in the memo that we do have 2 units that we are negotiating with. Paraeducators are finally beginning on March 21st. Timing's not great. And the custodians are really at a point now where we have a tentative agreement. Jim and Karen were the board representatives on that, and we'll be bringing that tentative agreement to you and a draft contract at the second meeting in March. We just wanted you to be aware, because those have implications for the budget. You know, they're budgeted, but the final numbers are unknown, and so we want you to be aware of that.
I wanted to add something too, for the record, come time for paraeducators, I'll recuse myself on that, my wife is a paraeducator at the middle school.
That's it. Just an awareness.
Okay. Jen, reports by administration, do we have any, questions for Heston, the Goodwin School? Eileen?
Heston, I was really, looking forward to just hearing about the Goodwin Buddy system with the high school. So how were those students at the high school chosen to come to Goodwin School, and what did they work on with students, and do all students participate? Just a little bit of a highlight, because it's such a terrific initiative, and I don't know how it's implemented or how it began.
Sure, the guidance department, counseling department at the high school, puts out an all call for any students that are interested. As you know, so many high school students participate in band and chorus and sports and activities. So there's not as many students, that are available as you might think. But I would say we have, about a dozen right now, and they come and work with Goodwin students on homework activities, reading, math practice. They also get outside and go for a brisk walk at the very beginning. And then when students finish their work, they buddy up with their high school friends and play a game or two until the late bus arrives or parents come to pick them up. Students at Goodwin School are identified by our guidance counselor and classroom teachers that would benefit from having, a high school mentor or a buddy to assist them after school. And it's not only academic, it's also for social benefit.
That's after school. It's an after-school program.
After school, yes, until 4:30.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Preston, it's been going on for a while, correct?
Yes, since I arrived there, yes.
Hey, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Bachman or no? Comments? Okay. Moving on, same for the Old Saybrook High School. Do you have any questions for Mr. A at the high school?
I do have one question. Joe, question. Do we have college fairs anymore at the high school? Somebody asked me, we used to have a college fair and we partnered with Westbrook sometimes, but I don't know if that even exists anymore.
We don't. It's kind of, I think COVID had an impact on that as well, and a lot of the schools have gone to the virtual. There aren't too many that are happening on the shoreline anymore.
Thanks so much for that feedback. Thank you so much.
Legal questions on curriculum, instruction, and assessments.
I had a question. It's more curiosity. We put so much effort into the summer program, and I know it's really grown in popularity. I think 2 years ago, there was an attendance issue, and I think it improved last summer. With all the I don't know if focus is the right word, but there's a lot of concern with attendance during the regular school year. Is there concern about attendance during the summer programs? And is there, I don't know how you compensate for it or address it, but I just didn't know if you could speak to that a little bit.
So we do have all of our teachers who participate in summer and keep attendance. I can't give you a specific number off the top of my head, but attendance is very, very good for the summer enrichment program. So we're not seeing the same level of.
Okay.
And I know it could be because of the fact that parents and students have to sign up for this.
Yeah.
And they're selecting into the very specific programming that they're going to be in the summertime. But I haven't seen in my long tenure of one summer.
Yeah.
Any issues with the attendance.
Good. That's good.
Okay, thanks. And just, I'm not, clear on, if you sign up, do you go all day, or is it that first, you either go to the first session or the second session, or like, how does that work?
So it depends on what you sign up for. Last year, we saw that there were some gaps inside of our areas. So we tried to do our best for each week that we're offering the program to ensure that there is a AM offering and a PM offering. But parents and students can sign up and select whether they want to just go to an AM session or only attend a PM session. Because they're not run by one teacher all day long. Specific teachers sign up, plan for specific programming. And that may be in the AM session from 9 to 12 or in the PM session from 12 to 3.
And are we running food service in between, or is it bring your lunch?
Right. If a student is attending both the AM, PM session, they are bringing their.
Okay.
Just a question on the ARC implementation survey, kind of what the status is of that, what type of feedback are we getting from that survey?
So we have about 60% of our participants who actually complete the survey. We're hoping to get the other 40% to complete the survey, but I feel that the feedback that we have received have been on par with a lot of our focus group feedback that we've been seeing throughout the year from the early fall and the winter. Our teachers are being great in the fact that they're being honest about how they feel. In terms of the books, we're getting a lot of positive responses. In terms of vocabulary practice, we're getting positive responses, students' engagement with the text, positive responses. A big concern that they have is the phonics part of the program is different than the foundation's old version that we used to run previous school years. That has come up as a concern because they do it quite differently. It's not the same sequence because they're two different programs. So that has come up as a concern. And I'm not sure if we remember the three options that were presented at the end of the literacy presentation. With this 60% of participants who responded to the survey, the majority of them wanted option 2, which was to return to the foundation's phonics program and move forward with the art program for vocabulary and comprehension. So that's preliminary results right now. We're hoping to get the other 40% to respond to the survey.
So I just appreciate in your report mentioning about the focus on multi-language learners, which is, you know, because that's come up as a need and a question, and also to expand it to include arts programming and PE. So that provides, you know, something that's not necessarily academic, but social and emotional, and socialization. So the question is not that it's a statement, but the families that often have English language learners, how do they get to that program if they don't have transportation? It's just a question because I work with some of those families and sometimes they don't have their license, and I don't know if we do buses, and so what does that?
So right now, we don't have any buses or transportation as part of that programming. This is only as far as I know, the second year that we're running a language tutoring services as part of our summer programming. That can be something that we can look into and explore to see if that is a concern with our families having access to this program that we're offering, but we have to explore that more.
Is Nine-Town Transit bus an option? Because I know that.
Oh, I don't know their schedule, but.
Well, I think you call them and they'll come and get you.
Pick you up.
No, that's great, because I've heard that it's now not called Nine-Town Transit, I was talking to the family, but yeah, it's changed, and so I don't know if the schedule remains the same, but it's just, you know, it's just something to consider.
There's vouchers for that as well.
You're exactly, yeah. Thanks.
Moving on, do we have any questions for operations, facilities and finance for Pam this evening?
Yeah.
Talking a lot tonight.
The bleachers. Yeah, in the high school. So what is the plan B if they require it sooner than the fiscal 20?
The good news is the bleachers are less expensive than the track.
Okay.
Not that $150,000 is, you know, something we have, you know, at the ready, but if we needed to flip flop that, that's a possibility. It is also something we're considering, seeing how we come into year end, since it is something we're required to do. I don't know how soon they're gonna get back to us on our suggestion as timing for that. So that is kept in the picture with, how the fiscal year rolls out over the next few months, where it might be a possibility. The good news is both the bleachers and the track project are, state bid pricing. So we don't have to go out and do a formal bid, wait for bids to come in. The pricing is already approved as having been vetted. So that allows us to move somewhat faster. It also depends on how soon we know that information, and getting vendors in line. Although they could say they're not happy with our time frame for end of summer 2026. I do not believe that they would expect it summer of 2024. We would have some leeway there. Maybe not as much as we're preliminarily asking for. So it does give us the opportunity to do some planning.
Thank you, Pam. Student services, any question, student services?
Yeah. Sir, love the story on the anchor program. It was such an uplifting, feel good story, the anchor.
Oh,
Student. So how many students do we have in that program right now? And what's your student teacher ratio?
It fluctuates. There's one teacher.
There is one teacher.
There's one teacher, and again, it's a program where students can utilize it, be it by.
And the movement, I understand that.
In and out. There are
Right.
a core group of 4 students.
Okay,
In there, but again, it can go up to 7
okay,
at any given time.
okay. That's great. It was a great report. Thank you.
Yeah, that student's an amazing job.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Ellie?
Just quick, I was gonna say congratulations for putting that out, maybe in the paper about how we're not only, providing for the life skills class, but how the opportunity to take their experiences and skills and provide it in the lunch setting is really real world operation, so that if it's something in the future that they're like, hey, maybe I could do this, we're providing it here so that it can be transferred to another setting.
It was a delicious tomato soup and garlic nut lunch. It was very good. And they had red velvet cake, which I ate all.
Thanks for doing
Athletics, extracurricular activities.
Brendan's not here, but Joe or Chris maybe are help us.
I have a question on that. So last fall, there was the big issue with all the banners and everything. And I know that some of the banners went back up on the 28th, but at the September 12th meeting, the October 24th meeting, the November 14th meeting, November 28th meeting, we asked for follow-ups and how the committee was coming along and what the plan was. And I'm curious if any of that has ever happened.
I can look into that and get an update on the situation from Brendan. Of where that stands.
I just would like to state my frustration for that seems to be the answer every time. And when there seems to be something that we don't really want to have to address or deal with. And this has nothing to go with you, Joe. I just want you to know, like, I'm just stating that it just keeps getting kicked out. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. There's 4 specific times we've asked and have yet to had an answer. We started this 6 months ago.
What was the question?
There was supposed to be a committee put together and a plan on what all the banners were gonna be done. We only put some of them back up.
Right.
We ask for parents in this community all the time for their money and their resources and their time. This was clearly a touchy subject for many of them. And to appease them, we put some of the banners back up, but we haven't made a plan that we were told would be put together.
So we'll find out if the committee is still meeting. I don't think the banners went back up to appease them. That was always the plan, was to put the banners back up. But we have to get a status report for you, which we'll do before the next meeting.
But we didn't do all the banners.
I think they were rearranging how they were doing the banners.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen. The part of the piecemeal process of it, the initial process was to get the Shoreline banners up and the All-State banners up and organized, in a nice
Have a
manner.
plan for us.
That was the first phase, but obviously we need to get an update, so.
Switching topics on that one for, I know that there's a push this year to try to implement some, leadership through the sports programs and through the mechanisms, and there were a couple things in the report on the Captain's Council and the Why Character Matters, and just, I know that those are more recent events, but just wondering as to what the feedback is, how that's being implemented, kind of what we're expecting out of those programs.
So what we expect students to be able to do. because they
What the feedback is,
participated in
yeah, what the feedback has been from those that are participating, kind of what we're seeing as we're rolling out these programs. And it doesn't have to be tonight, because I realize.
Yeah, no, I give you some anecdotal information. I'm sure, Anastasia can give you some too, but I know that Brenda was very excited about the fact that the students were doing real decision, problem solving, working with the freshmen. He was then going to have the freshmen presenting to the captains. The freshmen went to that character counts event. Character counts, I think that's the name of it.
Yeah.
And so sort of like building the theater program of leadership. And I don't know, Joe, if you could speak to it. I think he was excited about how that was received. I know he was excited about how that was received.
Yeah, It's kind of unfolding really well in terms of kind of partnering with our student government as well, in terms of the initiatives and plans that they're doing. We had a pep rally today, and that was really the students stepped up and planned it, and they ran it, and it was highly successful. We really hadn't had the whole school together in a while, and it was just the kids enjoyed it, the faculty enjoyed it. They organized 3 quick scrimmages of basketball with staff and kids, and it was to celebrate and encourage our state tournament game tonight. So it was just a feel good, but that was student initiative. So we're starting to see it kind of filter out now with the Captain's Council and our student government in terms of kids coming up with ideas and taking initiative and meeting with adults and saying, how can we make this happen? And it kind of mirrors also our capstone program in a way, where they're reaching out to the community and they're making appointments and they're sending professional emails and they're understanding laws and how things work. And, oh, I need a, certificate to do this. Oh, I've seen a lot of progress and it's starting to pick up steam. So it's very positive.
And if there's anything like more, anything else you want, we can ask Brendan to include it in this section too.
Yeah, and I'm just interested because it's something that we've been trying to implement to see how we can give more leadership opportunities across a broader spectrum. And so just, is it working the way that we thought it was gonna work? Is it well received? Is it, those types of things? And I know it's still early in the process, but.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, moving on, any questions for the superintendent? Report. No questions for you.
I think the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. We got, we're actually, we're going to reports by board committee by Dom's tonight, so, our student board rep, you free to leave if you'd like to. Please feel like to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And administrator as well. Good night. Good night. Okay, we'll start with, budget and fiscal.
So we presented, I say we, of course, that was Jan and Pam. We did a really nice presentation that combined Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance meeting, and it was very well received. I think we talked a little bit about it at our last meeting. And I'm unsure what the next steps are.
Public meeting on the 4th of
On
March.
the 4th,
4th of
right,
March.
and then the vote is sometime in May,
Right,
right?
they'll announce, typically they announce that night when the vote. Said referendum.
They'll have a town meeting.
Make
They'll
your
adjourn to
Adjourn to
referendum. So
Okay.
normally the town meeting's on the Monday and then they adjourn to the referendum. That's generally the second Tuesday in May.
Okay, good, awesome. Yeah, so Monday is the town meeting.
Yeah,
Monday
Monday.
at the middle school.
It'll be March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more board members can come the night, the better.
Yes, it's good to have that show. Yeah, it was, we agreed, we felt it was very well received, their questions were, I actually have a follow-up, Pam, and I have a follow-up meeting with the chair of the Board of Finance about solar
panels.
and also the pre-K program. He had some numbers questions there, and so I have those in my office to share with him. And that's it, really, that's it.
Yeah, I know they were very appreciative of the presentation and just all the work that you have done in your tenure.
Yeah, it was nice, it was nice.
I was gonna say the availability, because I know it ran late when the board of ed started, because I was able to get on virtually. So that's a great advantage, for people that can't be there in person. And it was clear and you could understand it and you knew that even though it started at whatever, 6:30.
Yeah, well,
By the time we got on.
to Jane
Yeah.
and Trevor,
Yeah.
myself, if I can.
Oh, for sure.
Karen.
That was great.
Yeah.
And Karen was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sat and waited
Yeah.
for a long time.
It was a lot.
And waited.
Sure.
Traditionally, does Board of Ed go first?
No.
Traditionally, we don't go on
No.
the same night.
Okay.
I've never been asked to present on the same night as another big budget,
Okay.
but they gave me an opportunity to come early. Unfortunately, I had another meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up starting the second. I think that worked out.
I think it worked out well. It was a little delayed beyond.
For lots of reasons.
I think they were just a little run down by time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just so happy to see us.
So well prepared and, it's really good. Okay, hey, before we do Cape, I sent an email yesterday to all the board members on the presentation, so.
Did everybody get
Address that.
did get that from Kate? This was forwarded. So I just wanted to do an update because people will always ask, what does Cape do for us? And, what is it that we're, keeping in the loop with many other boards of education. So actually being on the board of directors, we had a meeting on February 7th. It was a very interesting meeting to have that conversation about the whole reading program. And they brought in the chair of the education committee and they really grilled him hard as to, why this could actually happen. Was he involved? What's the disconnect between Department of Education and legislatively? So if you have an opportunity to take a look at it, it's still ongoing. Jan and I had a conversation and, of course, her comments are always well taken, and I shared that with Juice McCarthy, just in terms of you can say, we're gonna put this off, but then as Jan said, boards of education have to adopt, training and the curriculum, and where is that coming in from?
Right.
And so that's still ongoing, but I just wanted to let you know that it's not just our board, but this has, support of boards of education across the state of Connecticut. In terms of their lack of involvement. And again, the disconnect.
Yeah.
There's a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you have an opportunity, if you can look at it, it's very informative.
And that was Jeff, the video embedded is Jeff Curry, the representative, who's the co-chair of the education committee at the Cheshire Board of Education meeting. Speaking about the issue.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Facilities.
Just that we're brewing our next meeting for the 25th. Yep. So.
And something has to be done about the heating system.
I'm like, you can email reminder tomorrow morning. Working on it, that'll be on the agenda.
Official agenda will be forthcoming.
Yes, correct.
Okay, learn, I know Steve doesn't have time, I don't have time for either right now, I'm not in the meeting, so we're gonna have to find a way to, end the meeting and find out what's going on.
Do they send minutes? Could we at least request
Yes.
that minutes be sent?
Yep, we can get minutes, I can sure get that for you.
Even if we get them sent directly to me, I can put them in one of the folders.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Guys,
Yeah,
it's just part of the word packet.
I'll reach out. Okay, strategic planning.
Oh, I think that's me. So actually, we're gonna have the next update at our next meeting, which is, the board self-evaluation. So stay tuned.
Demographics.
We have not met since the last time we met.
Parent personnel.
Well, it's been a busy year, people. Busy year. Anyway, but no, it's, yeah, but it's been good. Personal wrapping up. Yeah, so it's all good. We appointed, I think, outstanding superintendent to replace our outstanding superintendent. So thank you to all of you for all your hard work. So our next meeting is our second board self-evaluation. And as I say, every time, please contact me with any topics that you would like discussed at that meeting. Most of the time, we sort of evaluate how we operate as a board and how efficient our meetings are, that kind of thing. So let me know and we can get that on the agenda for discussion.
It was Ann moderate.
Ann always moderates.
Perfect, just wanted to
facilitates
make
that
sure.
meeting. Yep, she's awesome. Yeah. Jack, were you Did you come after that meeting or before our last one? Have you been at one?
It was after the meeting, sorry, not.
Okay, so we can chat about that if you want to. So, yeah, any other questions? Yeah. Thank you.
So 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, same, I'll send out emails as a reminder. So that's coming up. Our next meeting is March 12th. Dinner will be here at 5 o'clock. Meeting to start probably at 5:30. Yeah.
We can have a dinner that resembled our interview luncheon.
Yeah.
Be very- I think it would put
I know
everybody in a good mood.
it's meeting very well.
Garlic nuts are part of that.
Yeah, garlic nuts deserved it. Yeah. Those were long days. Those were long weekend days we put in.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Policy.
Policy, I have a meeting set up like I commonly do with Jan, the beginning of March. Just to take a look at the, policies we may still need to address, or where we are just in the whole, agenda for what we need to do.
And I had sent a couple of emails about the student. Yeah, I just think it's important before the next student supply that it accurately reflects the correct time, at a minimum, the start time of the meetings and anything else that needs to be changed.
Yeah, I've already done it for that. Thanks.
Chairman report. I just wanted to note that I get emails all the time from Cave, and one of the things that I've been, this is actually, chairman, meeting, and last week I got an email a couple weeks ago, on budgets to all the boards in the state of Connecticut. And having to report, it'll say it was one of the lowest ones. Janet's got the report there, but it's actually very accurate, reflects it, 3.38%, which matches our budget.
I'm sorry. What was the report on? I didn't hear the beginning.
It's through Cave.
It's if I heard you correctly, it's a summary of all the budget increases.
Oh,
Yes.
budget increases. Okay.
For boards of education.
Okay.
Not all of which are complete yet, but
Right.
those that are complete, and many of them are double.
But the fact that it matches ours
Yeah.
exactly, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
3.38% matches. For
You're saying that it accurately is reflecting what our interest.
We
is, so
entered
there's
those
no
numbers.
risk.
We send those
No,
numbers.
it's nice to see it though.
So good job, Dan. The report is accurate.
It's nice to see it though.
It's the joy of a shared document where you can just go
Yeah.
in and everyone updates their own information, which I think makes it a lot quicker for feedback. We've had that in a couple other documents, so it's very helpful because then I can peek at everybody else.
And feel good about it.
And, I also get emails too from different board chairs, and some of the feedback, a lot of talks about budgets right now. And there's lots of districts who are really struggling with money they spent, which maybe they shouldn't have spent, and now they're trying to figure out how to handle the budget.
This was the year that the ESSER money
Yeah,
disappeared,
exactly right.
so anybody that you need to keep that you hired with ESSER money has to come on the operating budget.
Right.
And, that was the thing that we were really diligent about.
Yeah.
That's it for my report. So, let's see, it's 8:19, and I am looking for a motion to go into executive session, like the superintendent, for purpose of discussion about the interim superintendent of schools. We have a motion, please.
So
And second, Kelly. Who made the motion?
Jane.
Jane. Thank you. Okay, wanna vote on that, please? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 9:19 and we're coming out of executive session. Karen, you have a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dr. Krista Bachman as interim superintendent beginning April 1st, 2024, until the new superintendent begins his term with a stipend under the terms presented.
I'd say.
Second by Amy.
April first.
Did I say April 1st?
You said 21st, April first.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Oh, I heard first.
Say it again.
April 1st, 2024.
Say it again, just to be safe.
April 1st, 2024. Do we all have that? Okay.
And second by Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? So moved.
Congratulations.
Happy to do it.
Oh, happy to have you.
And before we adjourn tonight, we have the budget meeting at the middle school next, Monday night, March 4th. Our next meeting in 2 weeks, we should meet at 5 p.m. Karen, send us an email
I certainly
about
will.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't forget the musical next.
So moved.
Yeah, well,
Second
right,
second by
got my
Steve.
tickets.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, our tickets are on.